Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Easy Learning with RP. Myself Rakesh Patel. In today's tutorial, I will be showing you how to build an advanced user form in Excel VBA, perfect for the employee management system. This user form will not only allow you to enter user details, but you can also do update and delete. Even you can do search in this. Plus, you will also learn how to validate the inputs given by the user, and also we can export the data to the CSV format in just few clicks. Here, what we will cover: creating input fields for data entry, validating unique employee IDs, searching and updating employee information, and exporting data, all automated using VBA. Let's jump right in and start building this powerful tool in Excel. To begin, let's set up our Excel workbook where our employee data will be stored. I have an Excel sheet with the name employees. Okay, and I have already added header as a name, employee ID, department, date of joining, and salary on the first row. These columns will store the employee information added through the user form. Now let's open VBA editor by pressing Alt F11 or going to the developer tab, Visual Basic. We need to insert our user form from project, insert user form. Okay, so this is our form. We will first design our layout for the design, where we will put all the input forms and the buttons on the go. First of all, I am going to add some labels on the form. I will change the format and everything first and then copy paste it for the fast working. Okay, this is the label I'm making transparent. Okay, we are going to have a detail of 5 inputs, right? Employee name, employee ID, department, date of join, and salary. So we are going to have 5 labels. I'm just copying and pasting and putting over side by side. Now let's change the caption. Okay, you can arrange as you like. I'm just putting over here and designing a rough drawing. Okay, we have done with the labels. Now we are going to add text boxes for the user input. The same way I will design it for the first, and then we'll do a copy paste to it. I'm just changing the font to 14. Okay, so here we go. We design everything. You can select all them and make it auto size, so it will take its own space. Okay, now we have added the text box and all that. Let's change the names also. So we will use this name in a program. Let's make it txt name. So we are done with the text boxes. Now we are going to add some command buttons for the action. So let me put over here. Again, I will make it little bit bigger. Okay. We are going to have a 6 actions: submit, search, update, delete, clear, and export. So accordingly, we are going to create a 6 buttons. Let's change the caption. The same way what we did with the text boxes, we change the name to txt name and all that. Let me change this command buttons names also for better understanding. I will prefix with the btn and then submit. Okay, and let's change the caption of this also. Now we are done with the design, so let's click on a run and see how it looks out. Okay, it's look good. Whatever you can type it out. Nothing is going to happen right now because we did not code anything. Let's start with the code for submit button. This button will add a new employee detail to our worksheet. First, we need to make sure that the information of the employee is been saved to the Excel sheet. And to do that, we will double click on the submit button and write our code over here. Let's create first a variable with the name ws as a worksheet, and we will assign worksheet employee worksheet to that variable. Now we will create a new variable with the name next row as a long. This variable will be useful to identify the next empty row in the data. For that, we will write next row equal to ws dot cells in the bracket ws dot rows dot count comma 1 bracket complete dot and into the bracket excel up bracket complete dot row plus 1. This variable will help us to find the next empty row in the data file. Now let's create a functionality where the form data will be added to the Excel sheet. For that, we need to use ws.cells bracket next row comma 1 dot value equal to txt name dot value. Now the same way we will add employee ID, department, date of joining and salary text value towards the Excel sheet data. Now let's give a message to the user. Once the data is saved, we will say employee added successfully. Now let's test our code. Going to run it. We have a form and now we can put a random data over here. I am putting name, employee ID, department, date of join and salary. And when we click on a submit, it should add to the sheet. Let's see. Oops. Here we go. We have an error that we put a wrong name in the sheet. Actually, the name is employees, not the employee. Okay, I missed out S over there. Let's change it. And continue the code with F5 or run continue and see it gets successfully saved. Here the data is there. Okay, close the form to expand this window. Yeah, here we can see all the data that we have added. Now let's change the gear. Now let's create the functionality that will validate our employee ID should be unique and a blank, not blank. For that, let's create a comment validating employee ID. First of all, we need to have one variable with the name, for example, employee ID as string. Okay, we will validate this variable by capturing the information from the text employee ID. So we will write employee ID equal to text employee ID dot value. Okay, now we will check if the employee ID has a blank or it is having a value. If it is a blank, then we will say that it should not be blank. Okay, let's give a message. Employee ID is required. Okay, putting an icon of exclamation in the message window, and we will exit the sub because this is an error that the user has not added any employee ID. So to check it, let's give a try and test it. Okay, we will directly click on the submit button and let's see. Okay, it gives an error that employee ID is required. Now we have validated that it should not be blank. Now we need to check out the next validation that it should not be a duplicate. That means employee ID should not be exist in the data. For that, let's start our functionality. First of all, we will declare a variable with the name ID exist as boolean because boolean is going to store true or false and a default value will be false for this variable. We will loop this functionality in a for. So writing for I equal to 2 to ws dot cells bracket ws dot rows dot count comma 1 bracket complete dot and bracket Excel up dot rows. Okay, so this loop will be continue till it finds information in the cells. Now we will compare each and every cell, a second number of cell, that is for the employee ID, with the employee ID exist in the form. So we already had the value in employee ID, so we will compare it. If ws.cells of I comma 2 dot value equal to employee ID, then ID exists equal to true, exit for. Now let's validate this variable ID exists, and if it is true, that means the duplicate found. We will give the error message and exit the sub, else we will continue to save. Now let's give a try to run this code, and let's do one more thing. We add one more record, so better understanding. Just putting the information and salary and submit. Okay, so we have now two records, one with the 101 and 102. Let's click submit again and see. It gives us an error already exists. This means that our functionality is working very fine. If we change it out with a 1, it is again giving me the same error. So our functionality is working fine. Let's change the gear and do. So now let's clean out the field values once it is submitted. So we can add again a new record to it. We will write a code like text name dot value equal to blank, text employee ID dot value equal to blank, and so on. So this will help us to clean out the record once we submit the data. Okay, let's give one more try and see. I'm putting some random text and submit. Okay, the data is added and form is also get clean. Okay, let's do one more thing on submit. Let's make the focus to the employee name. Okay, for that we will write text name dot set focus. That's it. Now let's jump to the next functionality, that is search. Okay, and what we are expecting from this, that once the data, once the employee ID is added, we will search the information and we will write that in a search underscore click event. Let's create a variable first, dan ws as worksheet, and we will assign employees worksheet to this variable. Before we start coding for the search, let's first of all check if the value in the employee ID text field is empty or not. For that, we will create a variable with the name employee ID as a string, and we will assign text employee ID value to this variable. Now let's write if condition to check if it is blank or not, and if it is a blank, we will message to the user that enter employee ID to search, and we will exit the sub. Now we have checked that the employee ID is not blank, that means some information is there. So we will start code to search that value. For that we will use for loop, and we need to search from the second row till the last row having the data. For that we will write ws.cells ws.rows.count comma 1 dot and in the bracket excel up dot row. Okay, and next. This loop will help us to check each and every second number of column, that is employee ID, with the value of employee ID as a variable with we have. Okay, so let's check with the if condition, that if ws.cells of I comma 2 dot value equal to employee ID, then this means that we have the employee ID, we found the employee ID. Okay, this means that we have found the employee ID. Now let's assign our field the cell information, that is text name dot value equal to ws dot cells bracket I comma 1 dot value, because we are going to capture column number name in text name. The same we will do for the rest of the columns. Let's now take department, txt department dot value equal to ws dot cells I comma 3. It is a third number of column, right? Dot value. Next, date of joining, doj dot value equal to ws dot cells bracket I comma 4 dot value. And the last, txt salary dot value equal to ws dot cells I comma 5 dot value. Let's add a message also when we update it, that record found. Okay, and in case if a record is not found, we can also give a message that employee not found. Okay, so at the end we will write message box employee not found. Now let's go and test our code. We will put an information in as an employee ID. Let's put 102 and click search. Yes, we found the information and it is getting in the field. If it is not there, it is giving us error, employee not found. So we are done here over here for the search functionality. Next, we will see for the clear button. Clear button functionality will help us to clean the data. That means it is not going to save or do anything. We are just going to use that to clean out the information. So let's dive into it. Double click on the clear button. We have already wrote our clear action, that is while submitting the record at the end we did to clean out the field values. Okay, so this is the same thing that we are going to use it. We are just copying and pasting this clear to button clear underscore click event. But here we are doing repeated task. That means writing a code again and again. So avoiding this, we can do like this. We can create our own private sub with the name clear form. Okay, and we will paste that over here. Instead of writing code again and again, we will call this subroutine in the action like clear form. The same thing we will do with the submit action also. We will remove these 5 lines and use only, and we will call the function clear form. That's it. So this activity will help us to reduce the code as well as everything will work fine. So now let's test it out. Filling a random value right now. Let's see, and we'll on click of clear, it automatically clean the value. Okay, if we do search or anything, the clear action will help us to clean out all the fields and ready for the new input. Now next action is update. Update, that means you have already some data in the field and you want to modify that request. So we will work on update. Let's double click on update. In this event, we need to update the record that is added. Okay, instead of creating a new record, we will update it. We already did a code in a submit action. So instead of typing again and again, let's copy and paste the code and we will change the relevant values. Okay, so let's copy first this few lines. Copy and paste. Okay, so these lines are going to be like we are going to find out if the employee ID exists or not. Let's change the message. Enter employee ID to update. Now let's create a functionality to search the employee ID and to update it. Okay, we already wrote some code in submit, so we will do again. Instead of typing, we can also use that code. So let's go here. Yeah, this one. From the for loop, copy the for loop and paste it below. Okay, now this for loop was to find the employee ID, and if exists, we will say that it is a duplicate. Instead of duplicate, now we need to just update it out. So let's clear that value and just copying and pasting the text. Instead of typing, let's copy this also. We can remove this text ID value because we already had that in information that which value needs to be updated. So we can remove this, no need. Let's add a message also. Message box record updated successfully. Okay, so this will inform a user that record is updated, and then we clear the form so user can have a next value, and let's change exit for to exit sub, so the action is closed. Okay, let's test it out. Let me find something. I'm creating a record, updating the values directly. First of all, if I already have the employee ID and if I click on a submit, it will tell me that it is a duplicate. But what happens if we click on update? Let's see. We got an error. We don't have next row because in that we are using next row to add the value. But here we don't require the next row. We will change to I. Okay, because every next value will be I. Okay, and continue to run. Press F5 or click on continue. Okay, see, record is gotten updated. Okay, now let's see how we can work on a delete action. Delete action is also going to be the same as like we did an update. So instead of typing again the code, we will use the code that we used in update. Let's copy the code from update, click and paste in the delete event. Okay, uh, here we need to remove some of the lines that are used to update the record. Here we don't require to update, we are going to clear the row. Okay, and we will type a single line like ws dot rows of I dot delete. Okay, this line of code will help us to remove the row from the list. Okay, let's change the message record deleted. Okay, and rest of the things are okay. We can give a test to this. Let's run. Let's find the row ASFAS search. Okay, now let's click on a delete and what happens? Okay, so you can see that row is being deleted. We have added a request, we have updated request, and now we have deleted the request. Now next action is export. Let's create an export event. First of all, we will copy these two lines where we are declaring worksheet. Now we need to create a variable for the saving a file. Here CSV file is declared as a string variable to store the file path and the name where the CSV file will be saved. In my case, c:temp employee data.csv. Okay, now let's set up file access. Now let's create a file number as integer and assign file number as a free file. This line of code will ensure no conflict with any other open files in VBA during the export. Now write with me the line of code that we use open statement to open the CSV file and it will set for the output. This means VBA is ready to write data into the file. Now the first line we want in our CSV is a header, labeling each column using the print statement. We are going to add our headers, name, employee ID, department, date of joining, and salary. Now we loop through each row of employee data in our worksheet. This loop starts from the second row because we assume the first row is the header in Excel. Now each row we print the value from column 1 to 5 into CSV file separated by comma. Once all data is written, we close the file using the close statement and display a message box to confirm that the data was successfully exported. Now all we need to do is run this code and we will create our CSV file. Let me open the folder first of all. That it is showing empty. We don't have any file right now. When we export, we will see the file here. Okay, when the code completes, we get a confirmation message, and if we navigate to the specific folder, we will see our CSV file with the data exported from Excel. And that's it. In just a few lines of VBA code, we automated the process, created the record, updated the record, deleted the record, and even do the search. And at the end, we can also export the data to CSV file. This simple approach saves a lot of time and can be reused for a different data set by just adjusting the content. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more VBA tutorials like this. Also drop a comment below if you like and see more content on automating Excel with a VBA. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.